Matthew 14 verses 13 to 21 recounts the miraculous feeding of the 5,000. This passage is significant for several reasons, offering deep theological and practical insights. Meaning of Matthew 14 verses 13 to 21. Jesus has just heard of the execution of John the Baptist, his cousin and forerunner. This news likely causes him grief and a desire for solitude and time with his disciples. He withdraws by boat to a desolate place. However, when the crowds hear of his movement, they follow him on foot from the towns. Instead of being irritated by this interruption to his desired solitude, Jesus is moved with compassion for them. He sees their need, their sheep without a shepherd state, and sets aside his own sorrow to heal their sick. This highlights Jesus' selfless nature and deep empathy. As evening approaches, the disciples, recognizing the remote location and the vast number of people, suggest sending the crowds away to buy food. Their thinking is practical and human-limited. They need not go away, you give them something to eat. This challenges the disciples, pushing them beyond their limited resources and understanding. It suggests that they, as his followers, are to be instruments of his provision. When the disciples confess they only have 5 loaves and 2 fish, Jesus instructs them to bring what little they have to him. This teaches an important lesson: God can use even the smallest offerings when placed in his hands. Jesus takes the bread and fish, looks up to heaven, gives thanks, a crucial act of dependence on God, breaks the loaves, and gives them to the disciples to distribute. The miracle occurs through this process. The small amount of food is multiplied to feed an astonishing number of people, 5,000 men, besides women and children, meaning the total could have been significantly higher, perhaps 15,000 to 20,000. Not only is everyone fed, but there are 12 baskets full of broken pieces left over. This emphasizes the abundance of God's provision, demonstrating that he provides not just enough, but more than enough. The 12 baskets are often seen as symbolic, possibly representing the 12 tribes of Israel or the 12 disciples, suggesting completeness and God's care for his people. Significance of Matthew 14 verses 13 to 21. This miracle, recorded in all 4 Gospels, is a powerful sign of Jesus' divine power and his identity as the Messiah. It echoes God's provision of manna in the wilderness during the Exodus, positioning Jesus as the new Moses, capable of providing for his people in extraordinary ways. It shows his authority over creation. Many commentators see this event as a prefigurement of the Eucharist or Holy Communion. Jesus' actions, taking, blessing, breaking, and giving the bread, are the same actions he performs at the Last Supper when instituting the Lord's Supper, Matthew 26 verse 26. It symbolizes Jesus as the bread of life, who sustains his people spiritually. You give them something to eat. This is a direct command to the disciples, and by extension, to all believers. It highlights our responsibility to participate in God's work of meeting the needs of others, even when our resources seem inadequate. The disciples had very little, but when they offered it to Jesus, he transformed it into abundance. This encourages us to offer our seemingly small talents, resources, and efforts to God, trusting that he can multiply them for his purposes. The miracle is born out of Jesus' compassion. It calls believers to move beyond mere pity to practical action in response to human need. The leftover baskets symbolize God's overflowing grace and generosity. He is not limited by human scarcity. When he provides, it is always more than sufficient. This offers comfort and reassurance that God will meet the needs of his people. The disciples initially focused on what they lacked. Jesus challenged them to look at what they had and to trust in his ability to provide. It is a powerful lesson in trusting God's power over human limitations and calculations. In summary, Matthew 14 verses 13 to 21 is more than just a miracle story. It's a profound teaching about Jesus' identity, his compassionate nature, God's limitless provision, and the call for his followers to be active participants in his work, trusting him to multiply their humble offerings for the good of many. It is all about Jesus. Follow and subscribe.